So do you think you're going to be getting like the Rap Genius verified account?
Yeah, I think I'm going to get the Rap Genius verified account because I want, I love the idea of Rap Genius, first of all, going out there challenging people to decipher lyrics and to really go into the context, beyond the text, the context of what the artist is saying, what it means, is it valuable, and then by me verifying it, could correct people, because, you know, I always teach that positive education always correct errors. So I think that verification is me kind of correcting them if they wrong, or even praising them when they're right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because sometimes it's actually a compliment and a flattery when somebody does the research and figure out one of your lines and really figure out what you meant when you thought you wrote it in code.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, and sometimes with your lyrics, they are busting their ass and they're still messing it up. They just can't get it.
Yeah, it's crazy, right?
But
well, you know, with me, I'm a type of lyricist that take his life experiences, his life encounters, as well as his studies, and I try to put it into a concentrated form. So I may read a book that's 200 pages, and it may lead to only a 16-bar verse.
Yeah.
But within that 16 bars, you're getting a concentrated amount of information that if you was to take it and expand upon it, like how you get your iPhone and you can open up the picture bigger, that's how my lyrics is. If you open up the picture bigger, you'll see more information and more detailed knowledge and references that should inspire and spark your mind, yo. And so I'm glad that Rap Genius is doing this, because this is going to give the public a chance to come into that world, to use that exercise, actually, you know what I mean? So.
So we just got you to explain and correct a lot of errors in Insomnia, and we got to update that once we get the real verified accounts rolling. But I was very interested in your mention of Ivan Van Sertima, who, you know, I'm a big supporter of the pre-Columbian African civilization theory, and I just thought maybe you could educate us a bit more, give us some insight on that lyric.
Yeah, sure. Well, the song Insomnia, first of all, it's called Insomnia because it's a case that it's a condition that I have. You know what I mean? I stay up late nights all the time, you know what I mean, making music or writing and doing creative things. It's just a habit. It's been like that for years. And you hear in the hook, the girl's like, come on, Bobby, come back to bed. And she's trying to get me to go to bed. I'm like, what? Come on, baby. I can't sleep like a child on Christmas Eve. You know what I mean? So, but when I mentioned Ivan Van Sertima, so it goes, it says, I say, wild like a fiend off of Herkimer. Herkimer is a street in Brooklyn. That's crazy. I said, scholastic type brain like Ivan Van Sertima. And Ivan Van Sertima, he wrote the book, They Came Before Columbus. He's also the editor and co-writer of the book, African Presence in Early Asian. And he's a man that kind of researched, you know, through books and studies and through archaeology, the African presence around the world. You know, people wonder, why is the pyramid in Egypt similar to the pyramid in South America? Why are they mathematically equal in their bases? You know, when these people supposedly never met. You know what I mean? So through history, you know, these people have met. You know what I mean? This is why we could go to Chicago and see a Sears building, which is tall, or go to New York and see the Empire State Building. You know, we see, or now we go to Dubai and we see, you know, the tallest building in the world, I guess, is out there, right? Yeah. But the idea is that it's because civilization is in communication with each other. This is why architect is similar. Some cities I go to, you know, when I go downtown L.A. and I see the Disney Hall, then I go over to Australia and I see their opera hall. It looks very much the same, yo. Wow. You know what I mean? Because we on the same world. But we was taught, I guess, that the world was different and there was no communication back then. But it must have been, because you'll see their writings on their walls very similar to the writings on these guys' wall. So I mentioned Ivan Van Sertima to say that, you know, I grew up in the ghetto, the projects, and went through hell and had some rough times. And I was a rough person to other people, you know what I mean? But I kept my mind scholastic. And so that's why you see the contrast of us, the balance of being wild, but yet being intelligent.
We were hoping you'd address your call out to R&B fake rappers on Liquid Swords. Like, how do you feel in this day that seems so utterly dominated by R&B rappers? Have your thoughts changed? How do you feel about Drake?
Well, I think my thoughts have changed because the generation have changed, you know. When we was doing hip hop in the early days, we came up in a time where, to be hip hop wasn't easy, man, as it is now. I mean, if you wanted to wear some Adidas and a Kango, you was risking your life. You'll go to a block party with a new leather jacket on and a pair of Kazals and a Kango hat and some Adidas, and everybody didn't have that because you have to be able to fight and defend yourself to even wear that. You know what I mean? Everybody couldn't grab the mic. Rakim said it best in one of his lyrics. He said, I tried to grab the mic. They said that I'm too small. Anybody wasn't allowed to just get on the mic. You know what I mean? So then as hip hop grew, different people was able to enter it and make money off it from being fans of it. They was fans of it, and then they became artists. But we were the guys that was living it. We wrote the graffiti on the wall. We had the cardboard breakdance in the middle of the street. We had the turntables outside DJing parties. We plugged up to the light poles. I mean, we from that generation, you know what I mean? And so when we finally got into the industry, we was against all the soft R&B rappers because, no disrespect to them, because they're my peers and I respect them more now. But when I first entered the business, it was like, some of these guys went to college. Some of these guys are from suburban homes. You know what I mean? Some of these guys would never come to my neighborhood and come to a block party. I should travel from Brooklyn and Staten Island way up to the Bronx to battle somebody. I would go to Pink Houses, which is one of the most deadliest projects ever, and go inside a dude house where everybody got guns, and I'm going here just to DJ battle. You know what I mean? We used to get on the trains and drive to other neighborhoods to find other MCs. So when the R&B rappers start coming out, you know what I mean, no disrespect to Father MC, who was a comrade and a good brother, but when they start coming out and the music became more poppy, MC Hammer, Young MC, and all these guys, he was like, yo, these guys is making music, but this is hip hop, kid. This ain't just music. This is a culture. This is a lifestyle. This is we have to defend this. We have to be extra cool to be this. So that's what we meant in those days when Wu-Tang was really against it, you know what I mean? Nowadays we have a generation where the lifestyle's not the same. You don't got to plug up to no light post. So you don't have to go to a block party to hear things. You could just turn on your TV set, on your radio, and you could hear great artists over tons of information. Now you can just download it, so it's tons of information. So now you can't really be offended by the way that these people came up. Somebody like Drake, who comes from Canada. You know what I mean? He's somebody who absorbed the hip-hop culture, learned it, mastered it, and now he's putting out good music that people are enjoying. You know what I mean? So personally, I have nothing against them. Now, when some of these rappers claiming to be the best, they got that twisted. You know what I mean? Because whether or not you hear Ghostface Killer on the radio, or you hear him put a record out or not, I don't know not one guy out there who can match up to his lyric capacity. You know what I mean? I don't know two guys out there who can match up to GZA's lyric capacity. I know too many guys that can match to my lyric capacity. When I mean by lyric capacity, meaning that if you could take one of our lyrics, you know what I mean, and decipher it, and from one page you make a form 10 to 20 pages of information, if not even a book. I've got people told me they wrote movies after listening to me, you know what I mean? So that's because of the substance of experience and wisdom that goes into our lyrics. It ain't just, but that also comes from living. Some of these artists are young. They don't even know about the change that they're going to have to face later in hip-hop, you know what I mean? Like right now, you're making money. Say, there's a point in hip-hop you're making $100,000 a show, right? Then there's a point when you're down to $10,000 a show, okay? There's a point where nobody's calling you. And that's every artist. Every artist throughout history have gone through this cycle. But while you're in the middle coming up, you don't know where that road ends. There's a chance. That's why I said in one of my lyrics, I said the lyric when I just said this, what you said, it said, nobody understands me, not even my family. The most important man on the planet, but still they ban me. Instead of giving me praises and giving me Grammys, they'd rather see me stressed out, holding a jammy, and spin the wheel of fortune and get struck with a whammy. Or maybe die broke somewhere like Sammy. Never that. I got my act together. I said, never that, black. I said, I got my act together. How could Wu-Tang, how could hip-hop be dead when Wu-Tang is forever? So my idea of saying that is like, yo, many of us start off, we lose, we wind up going back. You got somebody rapper like Steady B who did a bank robbery years later in his career. You know what I mean? You got great artists that we look at the Rat Pack like Sammy Davis Jr. who was a multi-millionaire. When he died, I read his book. When he died, his wife had to take his eye out of the socket and hide it. Because he had so much debt and no money. So people don't realize the possibilities of these things. So when I talk about these rappers, when I was talking about them in my old day, I was really against them. I wanted to crush every MC in the world. But now I respect the culture, and I really appreciate that the culture has spread it, and these young artists are having a chance to feed their families and live a better life, yo. But be wary.
For real. So you told me what this means, but we got requests from a lot of editors on Bells of War. Every egg ain't edible.
That means, don't eat every pussy, kid. The woman carries the egg. You know what I mean? But don't mean you gotta be sticking your tongue up every pussy. Every egg ain't edible. That's one way of looking at it. But another way of looking at it too is even the incredible edible egg, as they call it. It's something that goes through a process of chemical treated. It's a very porous, material, and it goes through all these chemical treatments to clean it and stuff like that. And the chemicals sink inside the egg. You know what I mean? So you have to be very careful about where you get your eggs from. And also, some of the chickens that we're eating eggs from are actually genetically produced, or they're not farm raised. So you gotta, be real careful and shit.
I only eat quail eggs, which is also representative of my pussy pickiness.
Very finicky when it comes to licky on the litty clitty.
No, I love to do it, but it's just gotta be. It's gotta taste like edamame.
Yeah. It gotta be clean, G.
Yeah. So I was gonna ask you to break down the RZA versus Bobby Digital duality. Like, is that your Apollo and Dionysus, or how do you think it's best to exemplify that?
Yeah, it definitely is a duality. You know what I mean? By the time I became the RZA, I had already gained a lot of knowledge and experience in life, and then I was actually trapped into a world where I had to grow up overnight. You know what I mean? I became the CEO of a company, a young millionaire, a guy that had to guide the lives of 8 other brothers and careers and make sure they had what they needed for they could grow and prosper. I had to make contract deals and politic my way through the industry. And I spent years of not having fun. You know what I mean? And if I count the years, I remember from 1992 up until about 1998, I was probably one of the most serious men on the planet. You know what I mean? I was my strive and my drive and my ambition was just super focused, yo, and my persistence to win. But at the same time, during that period, Wu-Tang is getting famous. We going platinum, double platinum, Method Man's double platinum, and they're getting all this pussy, having all kinds of fun. They're buying cars. I'm only buying more equipment, investing into building up our company and stuff. You know what I mean? They're coming out with new leather coats. I got the same old jacket, the same old boot. If you look at some of the old videos, I actually look ugly compared.
I don't believe it.
Well, I'm glad your fans respect me. But if you look at it, you'll see my style wasn't totally together. Maybe on a few videos, I went and got my style together. But I'm known in my neighborhood as a stylish dude. I'm the guy who had Gucci sneakers before anybody, polo suits and all these things. But when I became the RZA entity, this workman who had to complete this job, I let all that go. I didn't care about it. So when Bobby Digital had a chance to come and I signed that deal, I actually went back post who I was and used that inspiration for the character, for the lyrics, for the ideas. So you notice, he's talking, more sex. He's talking even more drugs. You know what I mean? If you look at my colors, you look at my album cover, you see me with the silver hats, and you see my shirts. I'm wearing $1,000